part of the world, whenever there is a conflict or a war, it is also true. But women are also agent and active participant in conflict or in any kind of war. So in this context, I think the right term I should be using is conflict, right? Not war. Or if we choose to use synonymously, we can do that also. And yet, frequently what happens is that women are neglected when it comes to peace process. Whether you have to sit down on table for negotiation, then you tell the woman, you are the inferior one. You maybe, we can use you as a shield, like how the Guites are using the Mera Paibis, right? They use them as a shield. I mean, if I can critique Mera Paibis, I can glorify them as well. It's the perspective in which I want to locate them. So, but I hear, when we talk about women and gender relations, in most of the universities also we have Center for Women Studies. In GNU also we have, in DU also you have, in Jamia also. Most of the central universities have Center for Women Studies. Why is women required to be studied? Have you, all of you, ever introspect or think about it? Why is this gender relation a very important issue to be studied? Because that understanding is going to play out a very important role, either it be in times of conflict or whether it be in times of peace or any kind of movement which is going to happen. So in that, how we locate the position of women in our society is going to determine what is the result that we are going to achieve. So there is also a saying that the status of a society is known by how they treat their women. And I think as a Kuki-Zo community, we are a very egalitarian community where the patriarchy can be seen in terms of the lineage, where we take the name of our father. This is universal, and the Kuki-Zo also followed that universal patriarchy in our society. But the form of patriarchy which plays out in the mainstream India is again entirely different from the kind of patriarchy which plays out in the northeastern region of India. So coming back to this gender relation, it's more about power relations. When we talk about violence, there are structural violence which is more to do with power relations. Like we being the tribals, we are at the receiving ends when it comes to in terms of power relations with the, even in the state of Manipur also, the Meiteis, they are the majoritarian. So they have even the narratives which is dominating right now in the whole conflict situation and the discourse of this entire conflict for the past 5 months. The dominant narratives which has been dominating is the narratives of the majoritarian. So this power relation is which is playing out in our gender relations also. So ethnic violence, we can draw a simile with domestic violence also, like structural violence, ethnic violence, domestic violence. In any form of violence, it is always women who is at the receiving ends, it is always women who are the victims. So now I'll just come one by one in the context of this conflict. When we say that they are always can play a victim. Here in this conflict, we see that rape is a weapon of war, and it's used more against than men. There can be a assault, sexual assault on men as well. But in this conflict, we see that this is what is happening. The woman's body is used as a place of violence. It's weaponized. So it's a way of, form of telling that patriarchy that I rape your woman. I mean, it's an insult to that community. But how do you treat a woman? Because it shows that you are treating women as an object. I mean, no less than than any other animals. Like, so that inferiority, also why that inferiority comes is how the patriarchy plays out even in Meitei society and even in our society. So then what happened as a victim? Women resort to various kinds of occupation, which is including sex work to support their family. So this is how, as a victim, conflict, at times of conflict, how women become doubly vulnerable. One, being a tribal woman, being that social category, you being a tribal, and then second, that you are a woman. So you are doubly vulnerable. And we see that there are, in this conflict also, we see there are many widows that we could see that some of them lost a father, some of them lost a husband. So here women always tend to be at the receiving end. For instance, I just want to quote what the National Federation of Women who visited Manipur in July, and I believe you all are aware about it. So they said that in this that time when they visit, it was already 3 months in the conflict. So what they commented, that the General Secretary, Annie Raje, said, what is most glaring in these atrocities is the weaponization of women's bodies. She continued, women have been used as instrument to exact revenge on other community, and all this is happening in a modern society. This has to stop. And without mincing her words, at a press conference after their visit, Raja held the Manipur state government responsible for failing to halt the carnage in the state, and she and her 2 colleagues were then promptly charged with sedition by the state police. So we see that the complicity of the government in the ongoing mayhem is undeniable. And again, what is adding to that is the comment of the Chief Minister when he was questioned about the delay in taking action. He carelessly declared that hundreds of similar incidents have occurred in Manipur in the ongoing conflict. So it shows the kind of, that patriarchy and how sexual assault on women violence, on women body is normalized. It's a normal thing. Hundreds of sexual violences happen. And however, the